Hello everyone, Deanna here, and thanks so much for being here. So today's video, I've got a book review that I'm going to give, and it's for The House Witch by Delemach. So it's customary, I do have my synopsis that I am going to provide for this book. The new cook of the castle of Daxaria, Fin Ashowan, is a very peculiar man. He shows up ruffling all kinds of feathers from the head of housekeeping, a trio of knights, and the beautiful Lady Annika Jenoure. While he's ruffling feathers, though, he's also warming hearts. Hiding the magic he's holding inside is very difficult, as the others warm his heart as well. Especially Lady Jenoure. Separated by wealth and status, they are supposed to stay away from each other, but somehow they're constantly drawn together. Can Fin accept the war going on inside himself and allow his new group to get close to him? Or will the magic he holds literally blow up in his face? So this one was a super cute one that I found. I was looking for something kind of Halloween-esque, kind of fit the October vibe, and I had written in something into Google along the lines of books good to read in October, and this one popped up, and I just found that it was so cute. It really has really nice cover art. I absolutely love this picture going on with the cute little cat and our little hearth that we've got going on here with the fire and the cauldron and the tea and everything. It's just very nice. It's very cute. Just love what this looked like. So this immediately spoke to me, and I did want to check it out and get my hands on a copy. And I wasn't expecting how big this one is, so it's definitely a bit of a bigger book, and I didn't quite know what to expect in regards to the writing style, because I'd never really heard of this author before, and I didn't quite know what I was going to get into. But this one, I would say it is high fantasy, because we are in a world that is beyond our normal Earth. It seems to be a world very much where mages and witches live, and you've got mentions of dragons and things like that. So it is very, very fantasy, very high fantasy, but I found that it was written in a way that was very readable. I find sometimes high fantasy can be a little hard to get into because it can be so technical, and it can be very one that you have to get into that like fantasy mindset almost of being able to understand who is who and where these worlds are. I didn't find that so much with this. I found that there was only a couple places that it mentions that I really even had to keep track of in my head. There was a lot of characters, but I did find that this one was more character driven than it was plot driven. We had a bit of a plot going on, especially we have this new cook that shows up at the castle. Who is he? What is he kind of hiding? And then as we get to know him, I did find that it was, like I said, very character driven, because we're getting to see Fin and how he interacts with others and kind of some of the things that drive him and his character arc, and I just really did love it. I loved the way that he was pretty standoffish, but he also had such a huge heart as well, and he's very caring, and he was very just in a lot of ways just trying to protect himself and those that he cared about. So very, very sweet story. I loved the romance as well. It was pretty cute, and you're seeing it from that men's perspective of it being Fin that is, you know, essentially drawn to this Lady Annika that he's not really supposed to be drawn to, because there is that separation of them between their classes, and the fact that he's like the lowly cook and she's this rich lady. There is a bit of that as well, but it was just such a good story in a lot of ways. I did find sometimes there was a bit going on where sometimes it felt like the story was a little long, but at the same time it was just so enjoyable and the characters were so enjoyable. I didn't really mind how long it was. So it was just, it really scratched a really nice itch that I had, and I really enjoyed this story, and I'm interested to pick up the next in this series, because this is supposedly a series that Delemach is writing, and so I would very much like to check out the next one in the series, especially since it kind of leaves us at this point where, you know, what's going on and what's happening with this world and the potentially pending war that's coming up. So I'd really love to check it out. I did make a journal entry for this one as well in my reading journal. So we've got this, which I just used, can gather from for a spell, if you can kind of see that there. I had that in one of my craft paper books, my pack of craft paper, so I thought that just was cute to put there for the house witch with the little tea that he's got. And then I just have some of my thoughts and some of the characters that there were to kind of keep track of some of the characters, and then just a little blurb of the craft paper to tie it into the rest of my October month kind of theme that I've got going on. But yeah, it's just a very simple one, because I think this was in some ways a very simple read, because it wasn't anything too heavy. It was fun. There were moments when it was very sweet. It was funny. There were a couple moments I think I got a little choked up because of just the material and this house witch trying to come to terms with himself and accept himself for who he is, and, you know, realize that he is worthy and things like that. There's just a little bit of that theme going on, and it was just such a wonderful book to pick up. I just felt comforted every time I was picking it up, which I found so sweet, because he is a house witch, which is supposed to be someone who is very comforting, and it's, you know, you have that place of home, and I just did feel that when I was reading it as well. Like, I just felt that it was so enjoyable, and I loved the different characters. Like I said, we had a couple of the knights and his aides, and even the king and queen we see, and there's just a lot of different characters, a lot of different things going on, and I just found it all very delightful. So I don't have as much to say, because honestly I just thought it was such a delight. It was a little surprise to find this in an unexpected way. I was not expecting how much to love this. I was actually a little apprehensive, because I'm not always a huge fan of really high fantasy series. I can find that they get a little much. They get a little too fantastical for me. Or it's just sometimes the prose or the way they're written. Sometimes, like I said, they can be very technical, or they can be very, like, kind of, I feel like I need almost a higher education to read them sometimes. Sometimes it can be a little much to read some of the fantasies that I've come across that are very high fantasy. But I found this, like, this was a very easy kind of reading style. It wasn't as high as even like Lord of the Rings or something like that, which is a pretty, you know, like, almost the way the prose and it's written, you can kind of tell it's a bit of that, like, more older kind of writing. This felt very young in a way. I felt like it felt kind of modern in a way, but yet we've got this where they're dealing with castles and things like that. So it was just, to me, it was nice. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the writing style, and I found that it was something that I could very easily whiz through and get through quite a few chapters and just keep wanting to read more. So I really, really enjoyed it. I really did. I think it's one of my favorite reads of this month, because it was just such a fun read and just so comforting, like I said, and it was something that I really enjoyed. So that was The House Witch. I think overall I gave it 5 stars, because I just found it such a delight and I loved reading it, and I think I would very much pick up the next in the series, because it is just such a fun series. I want to see where this relationship between Annika and Fin go. I want to see more of Fin. I just loved the character of Fin. I just wanted to, like, give him so many hugs. I just loved how protective he was. There's so much that I want to see too, because there's a lot that we got in this book, but there's still so much that we need to explore and figure out more of, like, his powers and things like that. So I'm just excited to see where this series goes, and I hope it continues to amaze me and go to a wonderful place. So I I encourage you to read The House Witch if you like fantasy type books, if you enjoy kind of romances and things like that, because there is that romance going on, and if you just want to have like a nice comforting read. It is a big one though, so might take a bit to get through it, but like I said, it was such an easy kind of writing style that it was very easy to get through it and be lost in the story, so I really enjoyed it. But that was it. So it's The House Witch by Delemach. If you've heard of this, let me know. I'd love to hear. If you are intrigued by this, let me know as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Go ahead and like this video as well. I always appreciate it. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and you'll see me next time. Bye!